Hello, welcome to Connections with Coffee, Justice for All's podcast. I'm here in we're technically in Hilldale,
Colorado City.
We're technically in Colorado City, Arizona, at the Common Ground Thrift Store. Brody Olson's here. What's your title? Do you have a title? Things
Director.
after your name, director. Okay.
And pastor of the
Okay.
church. So
All
director of the ministry, which is Grace Reigns, and then
Grace Reigns is the ministry.
Yeah, and then pastor of Community of Grace Church. So
Why are there separate names? Can I ask?
two different nonprofits, two different organizations.
Okay.
Yes.
Two separate organizations.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Started the Grace Reigns first before starting a church, because we knew people around here were burnt pretty bad by their church,
Sure.
the FLDS. So
Yeah.
we ended up starting with kind of humanitarian aid. That's how the whole thing got started.
Okay.
In fact, we had bags of clothes. We didn't even plan on starting a thrift store from all these churches from around the area. They're like, we want to help the community. So we just kept collecting bags. And at some point we thought, man, let's just start a thrift store. So
Lo and behold. All right. So, episode 22 this is a podcast. I'm Joel DeWitt, executive director. Brody Olson. Got a little introduction and where we're at. One of the things that I kind of told you, we try to get a little background. You gave a little bit. Help me understand maybe sort of how you grew up a little bit. I know you're in ministry right now, and you've been here. Well, you've been here for more than 10 years, but
13.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite a while.
Yep.
Just give me just a little background on, maybe where you grew up and how you were shaped into ministry and sort of how things kind of, we don't have to get into the weeds so much, but there's formative years in there, like when you're 10 until you're, 18, like there's things that happen in your life that are probably pushed you in a certain direction.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I would say I took an alternative route to ministry.
Okay.
I grew up, it was just the thought I would take over my dad's construction company. Didn't quite happen. Yeah, in fact,
where was this at? Where did
Wyoming, that's right. Yeah,
Okay.
I grew up in Rawlins, Wyoming. So a very windy place. You stop there for gas, but you don't
That
stay.
is about it.
Yeah.
That's on 80, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on 80.
Okay.
That's right.
All right.
And so when I graduated high school, I went to college in Colorado, northern Colorado.
Okay.
I wrestled there at college, and eventually, after finishing all of that, I decided that I was going to start my career, but God had other plans. I got a call from just some ministry guy and somebody we knew, and he wanted me to intern there for like 6 months or something. So I gave it a shot. I knew I was kind of in between places. Wasn't ready to start my career yet. And so I went there, Central Utah, learned a lot about the LDS faith and understanding how to dialogue with them. That really got me interested in ministry altogether. Got tons of opportunities to evangelize. Decided to go to seminary.
Wow.
And then to pursue full-time ministry because I didn't actually have any formal education. So went to Virginia.
What did you go to Northern Colorado for? You didn't go for
business.
wrestling. Okay.
Yeah, business degree.
All right.
And business finance. I kind of thought that would be a step towards taking over the family business.
Yep.
And so then...
you lived in Wyoming from birth till the whole...
Pretty much. I mean, we moved to Phoenix for a little bit of time. Wyoming was just kind of slow economically, and so we decided to try out a business out in Phoenix. Didn't work out. We moved back. So basically, my whole life, except maybe 4 years, my formative years, my growing up years were in Wyoming.
Okay.
And so I played a lot of sports, loved that, and like I said, decided to go to college, and the only reason I wanted to go was to wrestle. So
yeah, all right.
So anyway, that was a lot of fun. But decided finally after college I had to make something of my life, and we planned on possibly taking over my dad's construction company. The Lord had other plans, and so I thought I got to get education. Went to Virginia.
Okay.
And
seminary in Virginia.
Yeah. So Virginia Beach Theological Seminary. It was between Chicago, cold, Dallas, too hot.
Okay.
Virginia Beach, the beach.
How could you say no to that? Yeah. How could you say no to that? I mean, you lived in Wyoming. You were a rancher. I guess I think of Wyoming and ranching.
Yeah. We have land and horses.
Cowboy type vein. You're like, I'm going to the beach for this one.
That's right.
Interesting. I don't know how we got to be fairly close in age.
Yeah.
Fairly close, right?
40. I'm 45. I'll be 45 this year in December.
Okay. You are like a year, just like I'll be 44 next week.
Oh, yeah.
So like you're like a year older than me roughly.
Yeah.
So I'm like trying to piece together like what my life looked like and what years. So like you graduated, high school in 99 or so roughly, I would guess.
Yeah, that's right. 99.
So, all right. So I love how it's like I got to make something out of my life after you've already been through high school and then you went through 4 years of college. You're like, all right, well now that I've done all of that,
time to get serious.
Now I really got to do something. And then God's like, yeah, I got something for you, bud. Huh? Yeah. I think that's pretty cool.
Would never have dreamt it. In fact, I remember on my parents' ranch in Wyoming, we had these missionaries come visit us, and we had some four-wheelers, and they rode four-wheelers, and it was like the best thing. And I'm like, I get this all the time. I don't want to be these boring missionary people.
Yeah.
Here I am.
Yeah. Not boring, though.
Not boring at all.
I've known you. Yeah, not boring. All right. So after seminary,
yep.
At some point you got married, because I know you're married.
Yeah.
And how did that come into play?
Yeah, that's actually a great story. We met while I was in Utah. I went on a mission trip to Mexico, stopped off in Phoenix on our way, and met Liz, who's now my wife.
Okay.
We ended up communicating over the course of the next couple of years, even started dating. Then I went to seminary.
Okay.
It's like we'd already been apart, like having this long-distance relationship.
Ooh.
And so, we decided just to break it off at that point. And I was going to pursue my studies. She was going to do her thing, but couldn't get her out of my mind after I went to seminary. So finally decided to start calling her again. And I thought I was a shoo-in. She would just say, yeah, let's start this up. But she's like, my heart's moved on. I thought,
man.
Really? And so she's like, well, I guess if you really want me, you're going to have to prove it to me. I said, oh, okay, I can do that. So then anyway, I worked for FedEx at the time.
Okay.
And so they weren't jump seats, but we got really good deals through Southwest and other airlines. So I started flying from Virginia to Utah, which is where she was living. She actually worked in the ministry that I had left.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so I started flying from Virginia to Utah regularly just to hang out with her.
Oh.
And I think that convinced her that I was serious enough.
Oh, yeah.
So then I threw this thing out there. I was like, maybe we should wait till I'm done with my seminary education, which was going to still be another 2 years before we get really serious, like marriage, anything. And she's like, well, then I'm out of here. I'm not waiting around.
I love it. It's such a give and take, right? It's like you're like, hey, let's talk. Well, maybe we should take a little break because I'll be over here and you'll be over here. Like, well, now you want to keep coming, and then now I don't think so. Well, if you're gonna wait, then I don't want to wait around anymore. Right.
Yeah, she's smart. She was a smart woman. And so anyway, I remember going to one of my professors and saying, here's the thing, I really want to do well in my studies, but I really want to get married too. And what do you think? Should I just hold off on marriage? And he says, I'll give you some good advice. When objective is in sight, proceed with all undue haste. He was like this Navy captain.
Oh my God! What even does that mean?
So objective was wife, proceed with all undue haste.
Yes, okay,
so that was the idea, and I thought, well, that's good advice. So we ended up getting married while I was in seminary and finishing out studies together.
Okay,
it was great.
Yeah,
loved it. In fact, anyway, that's another story. So 2 years later, we were done finishing up, and that's when we felt like, okay, let's check out where God might be calling us. We knew it was Utah because we'd already worked with the LDS population. Okay. And felt like confident dialoguing and evangelizing them.
Because that's a whole different ball game. I mean, it's not someone who's necessarily unchurched necessarily.
Right. Yeah. Churched incorrectly, and there's a number of issues, that doctrine, and it was fun to actually communicate because you used their book to kind of show them that what they believe is far different from biblical Christianity. Yeah. And so, man, it was just, I loved it. So I thought we were going to move from seminary to Provo, Utah to be involved in college ministry. But God had other plans, like I've said in the past. We ended up doing the survey trip from northern Utah all the way down here. And by the time we got here, we realized this place was just starting to open up. Like, it was still very much in control of the FLDS, but it was opening up. And so, we went back home, back to Virginia, really prayed about it and felt like God was calling us out here. In fact, I got a great story with Mike May.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, so Mike heard about us taking the survey trip, and he got our phone number from somebody. I didn't know Mike at all at the time, and he calls me up and he says, "Hey, I hear you're thinking about moving to Colorado City." And I said, "Yeah, we're thinking about it." And he says, "Well, when you get here, I got some people you have to meet." I said, "Whoa, Mike," or whoever you are. We're thinking about it and praying. It's going to take some time, Mike. And he says, "Oh, okay, yeah." He says, "Well, what are you thinking?" And I start telling him, and he says, "Well, I have somebody else you can meet when you get here." And I said, "What is wrong with this guy?" He's a politician. That's
I met Mike. I know Mike. Mike, yeah. He helped. He was like officed out of our building. I don't know if you knew this or not, but like our building that we were at in Rock Valley, once it was constructed, he had office space out of there when he worked for World Renew is what it's called now. But like that's where him and Dawn worked before they moved out to Utah to work in converting people from Mormonism. I don't know how else I can say it in lay terms, but yeah. So I've gotten to know him. I remember at break, there was a break story. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago when he was back visiting. He told a story about how he wore a JFA shirt to when he first moved out to Utah, and like met someone at a Walmart when he was picking up stuff early on when he first moved out here, and ended up staying in touch with this person and just like communicated with him throughout the course of like 2 years. And this guy ended up like becoming a Christian because of a JFA shirt was the longest part of the story.
My goodness.
Like for real, like Mike is it's pretty incredible, but yes, a politician, loves talking. And I can totally see him saying, when you move out here, just putting that on you, like without even knowing you at all. I can totally see that.
And it was his personality that drew me to him, because he wasn't like concerned about, he wasn't going to nitpick everything that I believed or my personality. He was just very accepting of me as I was, And so he's great. Yeah. I ended up becoming one of our board members for the organization Grace Reigns that we established early on, and so huge help. And so, when we came down here, we started praying about it, realized God was calling us out here, and then we just moved out here. We'd finished seminary. And then, like basically the next day, we made our way out here. We finally made it out here a couple weeks later, visiting family and stuff. And so that was it. We were here, and we rented a basement apartment that needed a ton of work. There was mold, there was drywall issues, there's cabinets that were missing. I mean, everything. It was just a mess. And so we got out here. We started fixing it all up. We had an agreement with the tenant upstairs, and I remember the FLDS. Well, it wasn't FLDS. It was the UEP, United Effort Plan. It's a trust that owns all the property around here.
Okay.
He comes in the backyard and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, we're just fixing the place up. We live downstairs. We're renting from the person upstairs." He says, "Oh, no, you're not. We own this property. She doesn't own it, and we're not giving out any new leases." And so I thought, "Oh no! I mean, we just started putting a bunch of money into it. I thought we could be out of here." But God was good, and He allowed us, because I also worked at the school as a substitute teacher. He felt like that was a good reason to allow us to stay. So they let us stay and work that whole ordeal out. But anyway, so we got there, and again, FLDS was still very much in control of the community. We were just slowly meeting new people all the time, finding out there was more of a humanitarian need, and that's where we started getting clothing and stuff in from all these different churches throughout.
When you say humanitarian need, articulate it maybe just a little bit more. Like give me a little bit more around that.
Yeah, well, since the FLDS church was kicking out people for very oddball reasons. In fact, one story is a guy.
All right, just real quick before you get into that.
Yeah.
For people who maybe aren't familiar with FLDS, just a little about what that means. Yeah,
that stands for the Fundamentalist Latter-day Saints. So you probably heard of the Latter-day Saints, the LDS Church. They're pretty traditional. They're out here. They're all everywhere. But these are the fundamentalists. They believe in some of the fundamental teachings of the church that the LDS Church has no longer believes in, like polygamy.
Yeah.
I mean, that really is the defining characteristic of this community and some others like it.
It's wives, as many as you want.
Sure.
I mean, right?
As many as the prophet typically would give you, So really, within the doctrine of the Mormon Church, you have to have 3 to make it to the highest degree of glory, which is a celestial kingdom. So that, of course, then is used to populate your own planet.
Weird.
Anyway, it goes down a pretty deep rabbit hole.
That
but
is.
The people out here felt like that was such a primary doctrine of the faith that they didn't, when the LDS Church decided to let go of that doctrine, that these people decided it was not. You couldn't. It would destroy Mormonism. And so
Sure.
they kind of moved out in a secluded area, Colorado City. And
it's fairly secluded out here.
Yeah, no words around. And they just decided they would practice the faith the way they understood it to be. And so that's the FLDS Church. So then at some point, the prophet became more and more powerful within the community. And he even designated wives for people. If you want to get married, you go talk to him, and he would determine who this person should marry. So that sort of a thing. So he had a lot of power.
That is warped, man.
Well, and it was that power that he decided that he would utilize to kick people out that he felt were a threat.
Sure.
And so he started doing that more and more, just got more paranoid as time went on. This guy, Warren Jeffs, who we've probably all heard of at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, just continued to get more paranoid. People were being kicked out. And that's about the time we came in. A few years after that was really going. And so people were having to leave their houses. I just remember living and seeing neighbor after neighbor having to move out and somebody moving in overnight, and so there was a lot of kind of a humanitarian crisis. And so we happened to be here at just the right time. So we started providing even food and clothing, distributing those to people who would be willing to come and meet with us, which of course that's tough because they were such a closed off community that they didn't trust us.
I would imagine that's... there's not a built-in trust. Like, you're going to give me something. What do you want? What do I have to do to get this thing? Because that's
definitely part of it. The big part of it too is that they've been trained from an early age that the outside world is very evil, and they would do anything they could to destroy you personally. And so they put these fences around their houses.
I have noticed the fences.
Yeah, partially for that reason, and maybe it was more of a mental exercise for them to train them to think of the outside world as dangerous. So put the fences up.
Sure.
And so in some ways it kept them in more than it kept us out, kind of thing. So, but yeah, that's how they viewed us. And so they were very nervous. Well, so over time, we knew we had to take a very gentle approach maybe to the community.
Yeah.
And so we did. And what we wanted to do was just hand stuff out for free. That eventually we got so much stuff that we couldn't get rid of it all. And then we're finding ourselves having to reorganize it after a bunch of people come through. It's let's just start a thrift store.
Yeah.
And so that's how the thrift store got started. And it's been great. Right? It started out making maybe $100 a day.
Okay.
It wasn't much, but we had very few customers because it was still very much FLDS, and they wouldn't dare come into our store. But there was enough of the ex-FLDS, or what they call the apostate community, out here that they would visit our store and they would befriend us and that sort of thing too. But over time that it became more and more profitable, more stuff coming in from the local community. I remember when JFA just got started out, we would get nothing from our community because they didn't want to even be around us. And so we had little inventory, and so we got that first truck load, and it was like a godsend just to have stuff that we could bring in. And then it provided great opportunities for us to do these big sales and bring more people into our space. So amazing.
Yeah, to have a presence in the community of people who are, I would imagine having the viewpoint of nothing is mine, and I can be told to just leave and go somewhere else or be shipped somewhere else and not have any possessions that are mine, and this isn't mine. And I the mental ability or the mental harm. I have a hard time understanding that. And just saying, well, just tell them you're not going. I'm not going to do that. That's my thought.
Yeah,
you're like, well, just don't do that. But that's not. That's not how it works.
Then the prophet would say, well, that your eternal salvation depends on it, and your children and your wives.
Yeah.
And if you're still bought into the system, you're like, oh man, you're right. I got to get out of here.
I guess.
Yeah. And so they would. And
I don't want them to be harmed. I guess I better leave.
Yeah. And then it just becomes it's just a terrible thing. You lose everything you thought was very secured in the heavens. And now everything is lost.
Yeah.
Wives, children, house, job, retirement, everything. It was just all based on the church. So when they were kicked out, they had nothing. So we come along and we thought, starting a church would be great.
Sure.
But we knew that wouldn't work out here. And so we wanted to communicate first that we care a lot about the people we're not just trying to pick the weak sheep off and anything like that. It's like, this is who Jesus is. He comes and he serves us where we're at in our needs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And through that, like if the local church can get established by God's grace, he will.
Yeah.
So that's how that kind of got going. And we found that inviting mission teams out on summer trips, things like that, we would be able to get a lot of kids out to a park event or something.
Sure.
But we didn't have anywhere for them to land. So yeah, we'd get to see them and do a lot of stuff in spring and summertime. But then beyond that, it wasn't really too busy. And so we thought, let's start a youth center. There's tons of kids out here because you have a lot of wives and lots of kids. And so we started a youth center next.
Yeah.
And so that's on the other side of the building, and that has been going great. You know, we have 60 to 100 kids that come on any given Tuesday. And so now the thrift store was up and running, the youth center now, and in the meantime, we were getting a Bible study established in our home. And after a while, that eventually got bigger, and we were able to start a church. So it was pretty amazing.
You have a thrift store, and obviously we're in a new building, which was completed not too long ago.
January of this year.
January of 25. So it's only been, 9 months or so. I was in the other building. You did everything out of there until not too many years ago.
Just this past January. So everything was out of there, and Gareth was just really exceptional about using every inch of space. We had all kinds of stuff out on the floor, and he was able to utilize it. He's like, that's his skill set. He's an engineer, so he learns that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So the whole basement was just thrift store, and then upstairs would be the youth center on Tuesdays, and then the church on Sundays.
So maybe take us back to a little bit to how did things go from how did you acquire the other building? Like if you went from having to update a place that you were renting and substituting in a school, and certainly seeing when people got kicked out of the FLDS, to seeing the need of they don't have anywhere else, they don't have any possessions. Like how then did you end up with property? Like I would imagine if the church or the UPC, whatever it is, UEP, if they owned everything, why would they let someone else not them buy something? Right.
Yeah, it's a great question. And in fact, we became one of the first non-FLDS owners of property out here in the history of the country that this place has been around. But what happened was the UEP trust was being managed by people who are outside of the FLDS. Like the court-appointed fiduciary actually managed the whole thing for a number of reasons that would take too long to explain.
Okay.
But because of that, the FLDS was no longer in control. So they were okay with handing out a lease to us as a help organization. Now, they weren't willing to do that to just anybody.
I see.
They wanted to reserve properties for people who grew up here and who invested in the community when they were younger. But because we were considered a help organization at the time, we worked with a group called Holding Out Help. They were phenomenal in just bringing the aid that the community needed back then, especially. And they stepped out, and we kind of took over their lease. But they gave this lease to this organization because we were doing all these things. And so they basically told us, you go find a place in the community that would help meet some of your guys' needs, and we'll sign a lease on it. So we're like, okay. So we just kind of walked around, and we wanted a central location on the busy street, which is, if you want to call that busy, Central Street is the busiest we've got. Yeah. And anyway, so like we picked this one out, and you're like, all right, go ahead. And it was just a mess, it's similar to the house that I moved into.
Okay.
It was a mess. Windows were out. Drywall was all messed up. Copper wiring was clipped because people were scrapping that, and it was a mess. So we got to work fixing that up, but we got a lease on it, and eventually, working through it, they even gave us the option to buy, which we exercised years later.
Yeah.
So we were able to buy that. It's a 2-acre parcel with the building on it, and I think I can't even remember anymore. Geez, maybe $100,000, right around $100,000.
Okay.
So it was a really great deal.
That's a nice price for what you got.
Yeah, it is, and it worked out amazing. And in fact, people associated with JFA were even donors as well to help us get that property. It's just a really amazing story. How JFA has really been with us from early on. When we first leased it, they provided the first shipment of goods, and then continued to do that through time, and then brought teams out as well. I mean, you know the story. But so we got the lease on the building. We eventually got to purchase it. Then and so had been using it ever since, and just using the daylights out of it. We used every square inch of it, like I'd said earlier. And then we got the idea that we really need to get out of the basement and into a bigger space because it was growing and more people were shopping.
Yeah.
And so we started making up plans for a new building, and that was just a long process. I mean, it's a process to just think through. We've never done it before, so for us it was all.
If you're going to do it, you only want to do it one time, and you want to do it the right way. I'm sure all of those questions got hammered out.
Yeah, so we hired an architect to take us through the initial design process.
Sure.
And then we kind of just went with it from there, and then continued to do design, and then finally got enough money where we can dig out the foundation. And so we did that. We did all the dirt work, and then put the concrete pad on, and then we'd raise some more money, and then do all along the way. And so I eventually became the general contractor for the commercial project. And my dad...
It's a good thing your dad was a contractor, huh?
And for commercial construction. So he was really helpful along the way as I was working through with subcontractors and all things required.
It's almost like the Lord put some things in place.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that true?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I would have never dreamt, but those things really came in handy much later down the road. And so over time, and we just kept raising money, and we eventually decided to get a loan to finish out the building process. And so we finally, in this January of 2025, finished construction and opened it up, and that's where we're at right now.
Yeah.
So it's a real blessing. I walk into this place, and I just think it's a dream come true for us. I mean, we've never dreamt that we would have what ended up being a multi-million-dollar project just to get this thing built and everything, and God was so good to it.
Yeah, this place it's impressive, and you can tell there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and there's a lot of, I mean, I've been here just for the day. I've been here since 10 in the morning. You can see the busyness of people that have coming in and people that are looking through the store and things that are available for them to buy, and seeing kids next door. I walk through the youth area, dude. That's when I think of just in our Justice for All's mission of Christian community development and being in a community and wanting to support local ministries and developing community in a Christian way, being available to, that's how I see it, right? I don't know, and maybe this isn't the right way. I don't know if it's the right way or wrong way, but being available to be in the community and meet people where they're at. Hearing you say that is that's awesome. I love that. Because just walking through there and seeing those kids, just watching them interact, buying little snacks and playing games together and shooting pool and doing video games and just having a place to go hang out from 3 o'clock until whenever. And I saw there's a group over there, they're making hot dogs, and just a place for them to have safety, have a consistency, interact with other kids, and be in a place to get fed, and just, I don't know, just having that available is a great way to develop community, and gives a great name for a Christian. Kind of how I see it. It's an offshoot of how God loves us, and it's just loving people, but they don't see that outwardly, but even though that's why you're doing it.
Right.
I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah. And we were in a really unique position because we came into a community that had been destroyed basically by the church and the prophet. And so the community was in a rebuilding phase at the time. So we could be integral part of the rebuilding of this community. Yeah. And so a thrift store is ideal. I mean, it's not like we just started a business as a way of trying to get into the community, but it's not something the community really even wanted. So we actually came in and we discovered a great need, and we filled it by God's grace.
Yeah.
And it's not any credit to us. We walked into all of this. I didn't know what I was doing when we first started. God just kind of took us one step after the other. So anyway, we started thrift store. The youth center was a huge need because there's so many kids and there wasn't much to do in a small town. We all know what that's like. And so providing that as a safe environment and a way, for us, the big thing too was that though these guys' parents grew up in the FLDS, the kids didn't really.
Right.
And so when the parents left, they want nothing to do with organized religion, talk about God, Jesus, anything. So we are maybe in a lot of ways the only point of contact where they get any education about who Jesus is. Great story is when my kid he was going to public school for a little while, and my wife writes on the napkins Jesus loves you or whatever, puts it in the sack lunch, and when they went out to lunch, my son takes the stuff out, and out pops the napkin, says Jesus loves you, and the kid next to him's ooh, who's Jesus? That's Jesus in the Bible.
Yeah.
So
You mean Jesus? Not Jesus?
Yeah.
No?
So they're very ignorant of anything biblical, this next generation. So we get to have a way of communicating that. So we go through lots of lessons, like a dozen lessons a day with these kids that come to our youth center. And we incentivize it by giving them snacks and stuff for doing it. But man, it might be the only time they ever get any information about the Bible.
For sure.
So, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's, it's something that you don't even know how it's gonna work out at the end, right? Like, but it's not for you to know. It's not for us to know how the seeds that you're planting are gonna be come to harvest. Yeah. Right. And especially with as much. Yeah, with as many of the stories as I've heard from people who are kicked out of the FLDS or have left, like that's just that's a lot of trauma and a lot of hurt that is going to take a long time to heal. So no, I think it's pretty awesome just walking through there and just seeing all of that interaction and just kids being able to be kids and enjoying company and being in a safe place and feeling comfortable. I guess my thought is even too is like, if you're comfortable to come into a place and hang out there, well, you have a church service on Sunday, they're going to maybe be willing to go in there when they're a little bit older, or if they're a little more comfortable. No, this is we've come here to hang out before, and it's like that, and it's a little bit different, but it's it's not going to be they're unfamiliar with the whole entire environment.
And for us, it accomplished two things. One of which is to take them one step closer to walking into a church one day, which of course was going to be a very difficult thing. But if they can get to youth center, and all it is, we don't have any requirements. We have rules, but that's about it. And so they come and hang out. And then maybe by the next evening, we invite them to a youth Bible study. Sure. Which is, pretty very casual. And then hopefully maybe one day down the road, they'd come on a Sunday to the same location. They've checked it out. And then the other thing that the whole campus provides is a place. We call it a place where people meet, so people meet Jesus. Yeah. So like we used to go out to the park, go out there, try to figure out ways to get people to come to our events. We just created our own weekly event that people can come to, whether it's the thrift store, which people from the outside are going to come to. They're not going to be Christian. And then also to our youth center. So like if we can plant Christians in place and display with the gospel to them, and if given the opportunity to tell them about it, that's the idea. Yeah. So,
that's awesome. Yeah. Sort of one of the last things that I wanted to get to a little bit was, you went through. Hasn't even been a year yet that you've been in this building. But what are some things maybe that that God's been placing on your heart lately? Whether that's through your sermons on Sunday, or things that you've been noticing, or things that you're like, you know what, I really feel that the direction this ministry is moving, or those sort of bigger items as you've moved through being into this space for a year. Are there things that you're like, golly, I kind of feel like we're being called into doing more, or doing this, or that sort of thing?
Well, I would say, like for me, finishing the building process, I've been able to take a breath of air and not focus on building for a little while, which is kind of nice. And
I bet.
So then that gives me the ability to focus more on the church element of our ministry, which is really discipling people that come to faith and trying to develop the faith of the Christians that are here. And so for me, that's one of the things that I want to do more of now that we're done with the building project, really focusing on developing the church. So that's one element of it. And I also, like I said earlier, I really want to find stuff that the community finds as beneficial. So one of the things I'd like to do with the other space over there is to make it more community focused. Like you could do evenings events where you have like older kids or some, or even have something for older generation to come and do something. And so I don't know, we're kind of toying with some of that, where we can open it up more days out of the week, where we could actually provide something for like senior citizens an evening over there, or other things like that. So,
all right.
And then really we want to make this, like I said, a place where kids come and hang out. And so we want to put a big grass field in the back, put in a like pickleball and basketball court that's covered in the back as well. And so those are kind of the future plans as the ministry moves forward, at least as far as we can tell right now. It's just kind of create it more of a hangout space for the youth, but also make it available for some more people in the community as well.
For sure. I don't know. That's kind of the, I appreciate you being on and sharing the story a little bit. I like hearing it, man. I I mean, honestly, I think it's great, like that you are willing to listen to the call of going to seminary, taking a break from wrestling before you have to get started on life, right? You got to get started on that life. Except now you've been doing it for 13 years, and all of it's been filled in for you a little bit. So, I appreciate the attitude and just the way that you follow the Spirit through a lot of this and through your story. I hear that. And I can see it, and I think it's I think it's neat and it's great, and I encourage you to continue to do that, and appreciate all of that work that's gone into it. So I
think if I could give a plug, if there's anybody that would ever want to come out and work as an intern, possibly, or maybe even consider moving out here. We've had the privilege of having 3 staff members, one guy who's over our youth center, 1 thrift store, and me as the church. We're losing one of them, and so we would love to try to fill that position. And so anyway, if there's somebody out listening to the podcast who wants to be involved in kind of ministry work to a nearly unreached people group, we want to be able to provide that as an opportunity. And so we could always use help out here, staff-wise. The more we have staff, the more that we can do, and we have the facility now, by God's grace, to do it.
For sure.
So I appreciate that. Appreciate JFA so much. I can't tell you. There's so many stories that I could tell you about how JFA has been helpful with, right down to putting up sound panels with the team that came recently. And that was a big job. So that was a huge blessing. And that's just the beginning. That's like scratching the surface. Tons of electrical work and other framing work that people have done. So I'm just grateful for you guys' involvement in our ministry as well. So thank you.
Like I say, this is the type of partnership. This is the type of connection that, that I see our ministry having, with places here and around the country is developing community in a Christian way. We can't do your work here, but we want to be able to support you for you to be able to do work here the best that you can. And I love everything about what I'm hearing. And like I say, we will do everything we can to make sure that you feel supported, at least from our end of it, and to continue this partnership, going forward.
Yeah, well, thank you.
So thanks very much for listening and watching. I'm Joel DeWitt, Executive Director of Justice for All. This is Brody Olson, Director of Grace Reigns is one of them. Pastor of the Community of Grace Church.
Everybody messes that. It's like Grace,
the place, the desert. And then people are always like, so where is it? And I always I'm like, well, it's in Colorado City, Arizona. And then it's like, well, Hilldale, Utah. And they're like, well, where is it? Is it in Utah or Arizona, or is it in Colorado? And like, when you throw all of those states in there, people are like, I don't know where it's at. I'm like, it's in southern Utah. That's usually where I land. Because like, that's just the most geographically regional place I could get to.
We were having dinner one time when we first moved here, and my wife and my sister was actually helping us out. Her name is Ruth. And so she was there. Oh, no, it was this other woman named Amy. So I am there at a restaurant in St. George with these other ladies. Oh. And they're like, oh, where are you guys from? I'm like, if I say Colorado City, he's going to assume, like, these are my wives.
Oh, yeah. Probably, right?
I was like, Northern Arizona.
There you go. Real vague. Oh, that's good. You got to be careful a little bit.
Yep.
Good story. Well, thanks very much for being on. Thanks very much for listening and taking the time, and God bless.
All right, thanks.